Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday. It's time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, April 21st. I know it's the day before Record Store Day, and a lot of people are probably saving their money for stuff they want to pick up on Saturday. But there is some really cool stuff coming out on Friday. There's a total of 500 albums, or right around 500 albums that are coming out. I got 14 on the list today. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlists we put together, and also the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a little thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's about 500 albums coming out. And of course, that has nothing to do with any of all the releases coming out on Saturday. These are just releases on Friday. So if there's something I don't talk about on the show today, I'm only going to talk about 14 albums. If there's something I don't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up on Friday. I think it's a pretty decent list. There's definitely a couple of albums that, one I actually already have because I pre-ordered it. And then a couple other ones I'm definitely going to grab also. But if you're unable to find any of these in your local brick and mortar stores, I'll drop links down below. You can go check them out online. The first one is definitely what I'm going to pick up. I don't have it on pre-order. I contemplated pre-ordering it, but I decided I'm just going to pick up the indie exclusive. I'm sure it's going to be available. But this is Jethro Tull, RokFlote. This is their new album. It's their 23rd studio album. There's a couple of different versions of this. There's a red version that comes in there's a big 2 LP, 2 CD Blu-ray box set that's going to be on red vinyl. There's a Coke bottle clear version that's going to be the indie exclusive, and then there's a standard black version. The big box set's going to run you about $80 online. The standard version and the Coke bottle clear indie exclusive right around $30 also. So I'm probably just going to pick up the standard version of it. I don't really need the box set. I will say the box set does come with like demos and some alternate mixes for stuff off the album. So Jethro Tull's previous album, The Zealot Gene, which came out last year, was really kind of seen as kind of a return to form for the band. I think a lot of people consider it one of their best albums of the last 20, 25 years. And even though I really haven't been a fan of much of the stuff that Jethro Tull has released since the beginning of the 80s, I actually really like Zealot Gene. I thought it was a really good album. I think it was probably one of I'd definitely put it in the top half of their albums. So you got that coming out on Friday. And then you got Nofx double album. This was released back in December last year. It's Nofx's 15th studio album. It was released 10 months after a single album was released. Single album was supposed to be a double album, but they released it as just a single release, and then they released a double album 10 months later. There's actually a deluxe version of this that is sold out. It was only available through Nofx's website, or actually it's through Fat Records. The album that's coming out this week, just the standard album, is going to run you $18. I know there's been a couple of different color variants that came out over the last couple of weeks. I think those were kind of shipped out early, but the deluxe version was actually kind of cool. I've got it on my shelf right here. This is the deluxe version. It comes with this nice thick slip case. Of course, it comes with double album, and then it has where you can put single album slides in there, and then there's an album that they're going to release later this year. It's either later this year or beginning part of next year, called Half Album, which actually has a picture of it on the back of the sleeve here. It actually fits in this deluxe jacket also. The deluxe jacket, this is available on Discogs. It's a lot more money than what it was going for on Fat Records website, but if you're interested in it, it is available. The next one is an album that I'm probably also going to pick up this week. This is Sublime, $5 at the door. It's a double LP. There's a couple of different versions available. There's a black version, and then there's an orange version. I think both of them are going to run you about $33 online. This is one of Sublime's most bootlegged albums over the last couple of decades. This was recorded in 1994 at Trestle Tavern, which I think is up in Washington. If I'm wrong, you can drop me a comment and let me know, but I'm pretty sure that's where that's at. But this has 26 tracks from Sublime's first 2 albums. So you got stuff from 40 Ounces of Freedom on there and Robin Hood. So it doesn't have anything off of their self-titled album, but a lot of great tracks off those first 2 albums. If you're unfamiliar with that early period of Sublime, they did a bunch of great stuff. So you got that one, and then you got Dr. Dre, The Chronic, being reissued this week. First released back in 1992, Dr. Dre's debut solo album. One of the most iconic and influential rap albums of the 90s. You got tracks like Nothing But a G Thing on there, Fuck With Dre Day, which are 2 of my favorite rap songs of all time. Just a great album. It's going to run you $38 online, so I've already got a copy of it, so I can pass on that one, but if you don't, it's a great one to grab. There's a really interesting EP coming out this week. This is Cross's Permanent.Radiant. This was released in December of last year. I don't think it's been available on vinyl until now, though. But this is looks like a light blue vinyl is what it is. I don't know if it's translucent or a solid color or not. But it's going to $22 online. I think this is a 6-track EP also. This was, so if you're not unfamiliar with Crosses, they were put together, I think it was 2012 when they were put together by Chino Moreno, who is the lead singer of Deftones. And they've done a bunch of great stuff. They released a full-length album, I think it was 2014, when their debut album came out. And they released a couple of EPs over the years, and then nothing for a long period of time. And then during the lockdowns a year or two back, they got together and started working on new material. When they when they announced the release of this EP, I think they said at that time they had like 20 or 30 songs they'd been working on, and they're at different stages. So this is kind of a lead up to a full album release at either later this year or beginning part of next year. We'll see a full Crosses album being released, but it's one that I've only heard a couple of tracks off that debut album, so I'll definitely stream that EP and check that out. And then you've got a reissue of Up and Say Ahh by Poison coming out this week. This was first released back in 1988. This is a Friday Music release also, so you know it's going to sound fantastic. I think Friday Music does a really good job with their releases, the reissues over the last few years. Off the top of my head, I know they did a couple of Alice Cooper reissues that are great. They were the ones that did the School's Out reissue a year or two back with the fold-out desk and their replica paper panties and all that stuff. So, like I said, they do a great job with the packaging. The music sounds great. This should be a really good release also. It was a huge album. It reached number 2 on the Billboard charts. A bunch of great tracks. Of course, everyone knows all the great tracks. If you're a fan of Poison in that late 80s period, you really couldn't get away from their music. There's a couple of really cool jazz releases coming out this week. These are both part of the Blue Note Classic series, which I've loved over the last couple of years. Blue Note has introduced me to a bunch of great jazz music that I probably never would have heard. A lot of these classic series and Tone Poet series releases have been out of print for years and years and years, and a lot of them have been really hard to find. So it's cool. It's a great series to kind of get you into jazz if you're kind of newly discovering the genre. But the first one, this is Dizzy Reece, Star Bright. First released back in 1960. This has a great lineup on there. You got Hank Mobley on sax, Wynton Kelly on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and then Art Taylor on drums. So like I said, a great lineup. This is all recut, remastered from the original analog tapes by Kevin Gray. I can't say enough about the Blue Note Classic series. It's a great price. You're $28 for a great jazz album. Like I said, that hasn't been available for a long time as a great deal, for at least in my eyes. Then you got Johnny Cole's Little Johnny C coming out. This was first released back in '63. It's Johnny's only album on Blue Note. I'm not sure what the story is behind that, why it was the only one that he ever did with Blue Note. But, same with that Dizzy Reece album. It's got a great lineup on here. You got Joe Henderson and Leo Wright on sax, Duke Pearson on piano, Bob Cranshaw on bass, and then Walter Perkins on drums. So, like I said, great lineup. As far as these Blue Note series releases go, you're getting a good album at a great price. These are going to be some of the best sounding jazz albums that you're going to find, especially when it comes to new releases or reissues of older stuff. So both of those jazz albums I got on my list this week. So this week you got a huge 20th anniversary release coming out. This is the White Stripes' Elephant. First released back in 2003. It's their 4th studio album. It's on this really cool looking red and black splatter vinyl. It's a double LP. It's going you about $40. I don't see that there's anything additional included in this. There's no additional tracks or anything like that. It just looks like the standard release. I will say the vinyl looks pretty sweet though if you don't have a copy of it. Of course, Seven Nation Army was a huge track. You heard it all over the place, and you still hear it all over the place today. Especially if you go to sporting events, they'd like to play it a lot. But at least it looks like a really cool release. Like I said, I've already got a copy of it, so I'll pass on that one though. And then you got the Mars Volta coming out with their new acoustic album, which I'm not even gonna attempt to say the title of it because I'm just gonna butcher it. So there's no point to it. But anyway, last year, I think it was like November last year, late part of last year, they released their 7th album. It was a self-titled album. Had a bunch of great success with it. This is an acoustic version of that album. So definitely a cool one. I didn't listen to the album last year, so I definitely need to stream both of those and check it out. But for $40, it's probably not a bad release. Another reissue that's coming out this week, you get The War on Drugs, A Deeper Understanding. This was first released back in 2017. It's War on Drugs, 4th studio album. This on translucent tangerine vinyl. I don't know why it was so hard to say that, but it's going to run you about $33 online. And then this is part of Atlantic Records' 75th anniversary vinyl collection, which I didn't know that was a thing that they were doing, but apparently it is. I will say that if you haven't listened to the War on Drugs, you're missing out. I think they're definitely one of the best newer rock bands out there today, doing a bunch of great stuff, and this is a really good album also, so definitely check that one out. And you've also got the Circle Jerks live at House of Blues coming out this week. This was first released back in 2014. It's a double LP. It's on red vinyl. It's going to run you $37. This was first released back in 2004 as a DVD-only release. Kung Fu Records did this like live DVD series that this is a part of. It wasn't available on vinyl until 2014. It was released once or twice since then. I know it was on blue vinyl, I think, the last time they did. It might have been yellow vinyl that they did the last time. So this one's on red, so it's a different color at least. It's going to run you $37. It's I'm definitely, when it comes to Circle Jerks, I'm definitely a casual fan. I like some of the stuff they did in the mid part of the 90s. Haven't really listened to anything since then, though, so I definitely should check that one out. There's a really interesting music on vinyl release coming out this week. This is King's X, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. Released back in 89. It was their second studio album. It's on gold vinyl. It's going to run you about $50 online, though, so it's about $10 more than what typical music on vinyl releases have been, at least what they have been recently. So I'm not sure why there's such a big price difference on this one. But this is limited to 1,500 numbered copies. This is widely seen as one of the best progressive metal albums of the 80s. So it's definitely one that, I don't know, for $50 I'll definitely pass on it. But I definitely should stream that one and check that one out, because it's been a really long time since I've listened to it. Then you got Overkill Scorched coming out this week. This was released, actually it was just released last week. And, there were a couple of copies that were released, or different vinyl versions that were released last week. This week you got this is a gold variant, and there's also an indie exclusive that's going to be out this week also. I think they're both going to run you around $36. And, if you're unfamiliar with Overkill, a great thrash metal band if you're into thrash. And this is an album that I have not listened to yet, but I've got it on my list to check out. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. I know it's the day before Record Store Day, but I think there is some really good stuff that's coming out this week. I'm definitely going to get a copy of that Jethro Tull album. I already have the Nofx album, though. I'll probably grab the Sublime album. Probably grab those two Blue Note Classic Series releases also. But drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're interested in picking up this week. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.